Welcome to our Goodreads series, where we get into the heart of truly transformative books. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and, honestly, enduring books of the entire 20th century. The book is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And its influence is just huge. To give you some perspective, a 1991 Library of Congress survey actually ranked it as one of the 10 most influential books in America. So what is it? What gives this short, pretty unassuming book such a powerful and lasting legacy? Well, a huge part of its power comes from its origin story. You see, this wasn't some academic text written in a quiet, comfortable study over many years. No, this book was literally forged in the fire of unimaginable suffering. The intensity of how it was created is just staggering. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who somehow survived 4 different Nazi concentration camps, he poured this entire book out in just 9 consecutive days. 9 days! And get this, he wasn't even looking for fame. He originally wanted it to be published anonymously. He just had one single urgent point to make, that life holds a potential meaning under any conditions, even the absolute most miserable ones you can possibly imagine. So the first half of the book, it isn't theory at all. It's testimony. It's Frankl's firsthand account of what he went through in the camps. And it's the ultimate, harrowing testing ground for the very ideas he's about to share with us. And Frankl, always a psychiatrist, he's observing everything. He's documenting the psychological journey that he and his fellow prisoners went on. He saw it happening in 3 distinct phases. First, there was that initial soul-crushing shock when they arrived. Then, that was followed by this long period of just apathy. Getting entrenched in the brutal routine, where you had to deaden your emotions just to survive the constant horror. And then finally, for the very few who made it out, there was this period of profound disillusionment, even bitterness, after being liberated. And this led Frankl to one of his most sobering observations, a kind of brutal self-selection process. He realized that in the camps, to survive, you often had to lose your scruples. You had to be willing to do pretty much anything just to see the next day. And he came to this somber conclusion that, in so many cases, the best of them, they didn't make it back. So it was right there, in that crucible, witnessing the absolute extremes of what humans are capable of, that Frankl's central idea wasn't just born, it was proven. You see, Frankl saw with his own eyes the truth in those famous words from Nietzsche. The prisoners who were most likely to survive, they weren't always the physically strongest. No, they were the ones who held on to a why, a reason to live. Maybe it was a future goal, or a book they needed to finish, or just the vivid memory of a loved one waiting for them. That sense of purpose became a lifeline that could help them bear almost any how. And that whole experience, that became the foundation for what's known as the Third Viennese School of Psychotherapy. You had his predecessors, right? Freud, who focused on the will to pleasure, and Adler, who focused on the will to power. Well, Frankl came along and argued that they were both missing the most fundamental human drive of all, a will to meaning. He said our deepest need isn't just to feel good or to be powerful, it's to feel that our lives actually have a purpose. So Frankl took this core idea and he developed it into a practical therapeutic approach that he called logotherapy. And the name really says it all because logos is the Greek word for meaning. See, unlike traditional psychoanalysis, which is always digging into a patient's past, logotherapy is completely future-oriented. It flips the focus from why am I suffering to what purpose is out there waiting for me to fulfill. The whole goal is to help people find that meaning to live for. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually find this meaning in your own life? Well, Frankl was super practical about this. He laid out 3 main paths. First, you can find it through your actions, by creating something or doing a deed that matters. Second is through connection, by experiencing something beautiful or by truly encountering another person and loving them. And then there's the third path, which is maybe the most profound of all. You can find meaning in the attitude you choose to take towards suffering you simply cannot escape. And it's that third path, our response to suffering, that brings us to the absolute heart of Frankl's philosophy. This is his most powerful, most enduring insight. Just think about that for a second. His captors could take away everything. His possessions, his health, his family, even his name, reducing him to just a number. But Frankl realized the one thing they could never take away was his freedom to choose how he would respond, his freedom to choose his own attitude in any situation. He called it the last of the human freedoms.
And listen, this wasn't just some hopeful theory. He saw it with his own eyes every single day. Under the exact same horrific conditions, he saw some people behave like swine, while others acted like saints, sharing their last crust of bread. And that's the crucial point for Frankl. What a person becomes is ultimately the result of their own inner decisions, not just their external circumstances.
And so, in the end, Frankl completely flips the script on us. He challenges us to stop asking what we expect from life and to start asking what life expects from us. He says that every single day, every single moment, life is asking us a question, and it's our decisions, our actions, well, that's our answer.
Thank you for listening to this Good Reads episode.